Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name's Alyssa. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like and comment on this video. I haven't done a sit down video in a minute because I've been struggling with the motivation to make content, but I'm going to try to keep up with it now. Today's video is going to be a Q&A about harm reduction because that is currently my plan in my addiction recovery, and I just wanted to shed a little bit more awareness on harm reduction because it can be super helpful for some people in recovery. I asked you all for questions on my Instagram and my TikTok, so make sure to go follow me on both of those. My TikTok is Soft Sad Lesbian and my Instagram is Trevino and Alyssa. Alright, let's answer some questions. First question is, what made you want to do harm reduction instead of going fully sober? I made the switch from full sobriety to harm reduction because I realized that I wasn't trying to be sober for myself as much as I was telling myself that I was and trying to convince myself that I was not staying sober for myself. There was a promise that somebody made me that if I'd stayed sober, they would not leave. So I got sober. They ended up leaving anyways, so the motivation to stay sober kind of went with it, and I realized that I wasn't ready to go fully sober again because I never was really ready in the first place. I just kind of was forced into it. And I realized right now that harm reduction is probably the best idea because if I try to force myself to get fully sober again, it just isn't going to work, because if you're not ready, it's not going to work because you're not going to put in the right amount of energy. You're not going to have the energy to make it work and to start recovering, you know? I feel like I'm rambling, but basically I knew that I wasn't ready to go fully sober again, and I know myself, and I know that if I try to push myself when I'm not ready, it's just going to end up being way more harmful than good. Next question is, how do you plan on doing harm reduction? My harm reduction plan is currently just not drinking alone. That's one of the main things. Not drinking when I'm not doing well, when I'm in a really low state, because then I would start drinking to cope, and that's what we're trying to avoid because that was the problem that I had, and also drinking with safe friends and friends. I just almost took my finger out and safe friends who will make sure that I'm not drinking more than I should be and that I'm not doing harmful behaviors. Next question is, did your treatment team suggest harm reduction or was it something that you suggested? Harm reduction was something that I suggested because I knew that I wasn't ready, like I said, and I didn't want to push myself, so I talked to my treatment team about it, and they were on board because for the same exact reason. They know that it would probably end up really bad and I would probably end up like right back where I started, and we all agreed that this was the best idea for now until I'm ready and until we know that full sobriety would be a good plan. Next question is, do you plan on trying to get 100% sober or just limit your intake? Currently, it's just limiting my intake and not limiting, but like changing the reasons that I want to drink. You know, like the main thing is not using drinking in an unhealthy way and using that as a coping mechanism, because that's when it starts to go downhill. Next question is, are there things you do to make sure you stick to your plan and don't go overboard? The main thing is I don't know how to speak. The main thing is letting somebody know when I'm drinking and being around safe people and just having someone else be aware, and someone that's like aware of my situation so they can kind of keep an eye on me, and that's like the main thing. Just because if I'm alone, I would most likely lose control, so just having someone else be aware of it has been super helpful. Next question is, how long do you plan on doing harm reduction? I plan on doing harm reduction as long as I need to. At the place in my recovery that I'm at right now, I'm definitely not ready to go fully sober, so it's still going to take a little bit of time until I'm ready. Next question is, why would you recommend harm reduction to others who have faced chronic relapse? This is a very good question. I was a chronic relapser and it was very, very difficult because I felt a lot of shame. And I think that I would recommend it because it lessens that amount of shame because you know that you're allowed to have a drink every once in a while. At least that's how it helps me because whenever I would relapse, I would just feel so disappointed in myself and have so much shame and anger. And so just knowing that I'm able to drink every once in a while and it's okay. That's been super, super, super helpful for me. So I would really, really, really recommend it. Next question is, do you have a process for checking in with yourself to make sure you're in a good mindset before drinking? I just usually try to sit with myself for a couple minutes and see what kind of mood I'm in, see where my thoughts are at, and if I feel like I'm in a pretty clear space, a pretty peaceful state, then I'll be like, okay, I'm not using drinking in an unhealthy way right now. This is just something that I'm doing for fun, I guess I would say. Just making sure that I'm not using it for the wrong reason and that I'm in the right headspace, just checking in with myself, sitting with myself for a couple minutes and seeing where my mind's at, seeing how my body's feeling. I think that's also important because I feel like when I'm really craving the drinks, I am very tense and just really overwhelmed with the thoughts that I want to drink. So checking in with my body, seeing if I'm relaxed, if I'm in the right space. Yeah, I feel like I just ramble. So I'm really sorry if none of this video is making sense. Next question is, are there limits to what alcohol brands / types you can consume in harm reduction? For me personally, it's not necessarily about the brands or types of alcohol, just more so the limit and how drunk I get. But yeah, not necessarily the brands or types, just more so how much I drink. Next question is, does harm reduction ever make you feel disappointed in yourself for using it instead of full recovery? It most definitely does. Sometimes there will be days where I really struggle and I do sometimes still feel a little bit of shame because I know that I have been sober in the past, so technically I can do it. But then I just try to ground myself and remember that I'm not ready and that is perfectly okay. But every once in a while, I do feel a little bit disappointed, but that's completely valid. And I just try to sit with myself and remind myself that it's okay. Next question is, would you be mad if your safe friends told you that it's time to stop? This is a very good question because I think that I would be mad at first, but then I would realize that they know me better than I know because they're around me while I am not sober. So I would eventually realize that it's probably for the best. But I think my initial reaction, I probably would be a little bit upset, but I think that is a completely normal first reaction. But then I definitely believe that I would calm down. Next question is, what impact have you seen from it on your recovery? Like I said, I feel like the shame part has gone down a little bit, so that gives me, I feel a little bit more self-respect because I'm not as angry at myself anymore. So that's been very nice, very peaceful. I think also, I have gained a lot more self awareness and noticing what thoughts contribute to what behaviors, which has been really, really helpful because then I can kind of check in with myself when I'm having those thoughts to make sure that I don't do anything unhealthy. So it's been really positive for my recovery. Next question is, do you think harm reduction should be more normalized, especially with other addictions? I definitely think so because I don't think enough people talk about it, but it is something that can be extremely beneficial for a lot of people. Last question is, can harm reduction help with other addictions? I cannot speak for every addiction because I am mainly addicted to alcohol, but I believe it can help with other addictions because harm reduction is mainly about cutting back on an unhealthy habit and not using it in an unsafe way. So I believe so. That is it for today's video. I feel like I rambled a lot. I hope what I said made sense, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like and comment on this video. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.